Well, the server shutting down was something to get this second part started. Anyway, what's good, fellows booklings? Welcome back to my Starscape challenge. Here we are once again in this mining endeavor with my Vesta, but this time, I'm adding a developer-styled commentary to slightly soften up a long mining journey ahead of time and space. If you're wondering why I haven't published any episodes for my series, the challenge recap whenever this video begins will give you the answer for those who are new to watching my series and challenges up to this very point. By the way, this new update not only has introduced wild sectors having more or less quantities of minerals found in their respective anomalies and deposit aberrations, but new ships were also introduced. Two new haulers, which I'm sure everyone who has played Starscape for quite a while has seen throughout their gameplay: Mantle and Andromeda. The Syndicate and Trade Union had used their frigate versions before faction warfare was introduced into the game, which transformed both the Galaxy and Shroud traders into those destroyers us players can now build and use for ourselves. But those haulers weren't the only ships introduced to the game. Syndica and their captains, agents, ship designers, and their mining squadrons weren't satisfied with just honey badgers, makos, marlins, badgers, or whatever ships they used to extract resources from their asteroids. After a long time of research, development, trial and error to build their most prized mining vessels, Spectre and Phantom were born in the darkest depths within the Syndicate. Aside from their mediocre mining rate and tractor speed, along with questionable turret spots that would make mining difficult from certain angles, their signal range is cut in half, no combat turret damage penalty, their nimbleness into speed, acceleration, agility, topped off with two engine rigs, make up for their disadvantages aforementioned. Oh wait, I just received an intermission message from Mining Guild themselves. What could it be, perhaps, if I may? What? You can't be serious right now. Man, a new ship has also been manufactured by them. Might as well go ahead and talk about it. Anyway, as if Mining Guild's insanity couldn't be any bigger, they thought it was a good idea to combine two Vestas altogether in terms of cargo slots and make a whole Titan-sized miner destroyer named Juno. It can be great for hauling due to the amount of cargo it can hold, possessing no combat turret damage penalty either, able to sport 6-point defense turrets with a single medium turret, viable for self-defense along with having two subsystems unlike the Yukon. However, great amounts of power come with a severe cost, and that is absolutely slow speed when all 16 cargo slots are full, no reactor rigs to make up for the energy management unlike Vesta, poor combat turrets limit, lightly protected underside, low energy capacity, and you need to max out your reputation with Mining Guild in order to obtain the blueprint. No, I don't think I'll ever consider doing a challenge just like I'm doing with the Vesta. Too much time being consumed along with severe disadvantages I have to deal in order to succeed and avoid pirates, so hell no. But finally, we can talk about player stations, the long-awaited update. To start off, there are now 8 colonization zones spread out through the entire galaxy. Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, and Theta. I don't know if I said that correctly, so please correct me if I'm wrong via the comments. Those 8 zones containing a batch of wild systems, depending on the size of said zone, are set into certain wild sectors I previously spoke about. Each of these areas are set into those wild sectors where they have their fair distribution of resources within anomalies and aberrations. Whenever you reach a system found in a colonization area, you can use a structure constructor crafted at the usual manufacturing terminal to build whichever structure you want to build within a planet's, galaxy. I can say that right. Like, actually the planet's part of space, let's say it like that, or even a planet's ring, except for anomalies because that would be too cheesy. Choose whichever structure, as I said before, then provide components to make the constructor itself start the building process. Now, talking about components, you will require spaceship parts, station fuel, and construction parts to make those structures. Those very components are built by using your base resources, which are corallite, reknite, and gellium, along with axonite. I forgot if narcor and red core are required in some recipe, which I'm sure they're not required, since I have to start my own structure. But I will get there whenever possible in my own series. There are currently 6 types of structures you can build within a wild colonization system. Shield towers and defense platforms can be either small or medium-sized, cargo depot, ship refitter, refinery, and repair bay. Whenever you build any kind of structure, it will give a prompt asking if the structure should be built for either your faction or yourself. Each structure has a complexity value, which I will list like so. Cargo depot has 6 points, small defense platforms have 6 points, medium ones have 10. So both the shield and medium towers have 10 points, so they share the same amount of points. Repair bay 6, refinery 8, and ship refitter 12, making it the most complex structure within the game, in terms of points, of course. The maximum amount of complexity per planet is 100, meaning that if every planet on a single system has reached the maximum cap of complexity, you would need to look for another empty system with said colonization zone, within said colonization zone, to build your own structures. Every structure you create will operate by the usage of station fuel or heavy fuel, created by refining ice ores or heavy ice ores. However, there's one issue. Heavy ice can only be refined through a refinery structure, as Corsac, along with every other NPC faction, strictly prohibits refining heavy ice for legal reasons. However, having heavy water can actually help you a ton, as it is used to make a special kind of cargo that shield towers use to become invulnerable to any form of damage from anyone, including players. That is, siege fuel.
1 hour later.
This particular kind of fuel will allow your shield tower to enter invulnerability or siege mode, as it is intended to be called, for 48 hours or 2 days if the shield bubble reaches 10% of its overall shield points. It won't, however, regenerate them until the siege fuel is completely consumed or vented out of space via shield tower interface. If said fuel gets vented out from the tower, an alarm sound will be heard and a flashy effect will play along. Siege fuel can be made by using 50 heavy water and a single crystal shard dropped from VX anomalies by defeating the Crystal Guardians. However, I do hope for an expanse for player structures, such as a shipyard that would construct ships aside from the usual interface on any manufacturing terminal, because it would be cool as hell to see any ship being built from scratch just like stations. Not only that, it would also be much better if there was a manufacturing complex to build turrets, modules, subsystems, and components away from the usual systems that possess an industrial station. Way that solo players maintaining their own stations won't have to go back and forth in order to craft and assemble their ships, while also increasing the risk to get pirated while doing such. Lastly, new types of turrets have been introduced. Logistics turrets that can actually repair your shields or hull. And before I forget, we'll go off topic. They also added a siege module which allows you to deal more damage to structures, specifically player structures, and those sovereign beacons that you have to take down in contested systems. Back to the topic of the logistic turrets. Both of these turrets have different functions. The shield projectors will consume energy each time they trigger, while also restabilizing the target's shield points. Ideally, ships with a higher energy regeneration, such as the Infinity, Adamant, or Edict, for example, will replenish their energy faster than those shield projectors can deplete. The hull projectors instead use small or medium hull plates in order to repair a target's hull, which also weigh quite a bunch if used on a ship that lacks cargo slots. So using haulers while making use of hull projectors is actually a much better choice than using a regular ship that lacks cargo slots. These turrets can be used for certain tasks, such as giving a friend or a clanmate support as they fight drones or something. But perhaps I will go ahead and showcase this kind of stuff in an episode of my Starscape series along with someone. So, yeah. That is all I have to say for this video. I will catch you all next time on my Vesta challenge. Perhaps I will go ahead and spend more than 5 hours recording, then I will make one final part where I actually get from where I left off until my cargo is fully maxed. And I will edit it, like, increase the play speed and publish it as usual like I've done with those 2 parts, including this one. Leave a like below the video if you're enjoying this endeavor of a challenge, and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future uploads. Have a great rest of the day as usual, and fly safe in space. This is Arctic, signing out.